Welcome to the Unindoctrinated show with Jordan Cohen. My name is Jordan Cohen, and I'm so glad you guys could be with me today on this continuing journey of exploring the concept of cultural objective truth, where our lives are going, and all the changes that are upcoming in the future that it has a lot of us concerned and unsure about where things are headed. And I just want to jump right on it today. So let me just first ask this question, and I guarantee you're not going to guess what I'm going to ask, but I'll just lay it out here. Is Plato's allegory of the cave the first example of simulation theory? I'll say it again. Is Plato's allegory of the cave the first example of simulation theory? Now, what is simulation theory? I bring that up because on the show we talk about faith, religion, belief, the nature of belief, and the phrase that I coined, cultural objective truth, and trying to find out what that is and how that has meaning in our lives, and how do we move forward in a positive way that's going to be fruitful for ourselves, for our children, and for generations to come. And so in science, not that long ago, and it's been around for a minute, but simulation theory is kind of a quantum concept that says, well, it's almost like the Matrix. Remember that with Keanu Reeves and Lawrence Fishburne, where are we living in a simulation? Are we just simply avatars that have been programmed to believe that we have free will? Or are we the biological evolution of life on Earth and in the cosmos? We are all stardust. And what's interesting is that a lot of scientists and others that believe in the simulation theory, that we aren't really real, but we're just simply a simulation, not unlike if you were to play a video game controlling some character moving around a simulated world. So a lot of these scientists believe that believe in simulation theory. And it's interesting that most of them are agnostic or oftentimes atheist, but yet they believe in simulation theory. But simulation theory says that there's a creator, or like they say, programmer or creator. There's really no difference when you break it down. So they're oftentimes agnostic or atheist, but yet they poo-poo people who are religious, people who are of faith, that they've always believed in a creator. And I'm not here to say who is right, who is wrong. I just simply am observing that they're both kind of on the same page, but yet they don't acknowledge each other as serious. So it's interesting. They don't really kind of contact with each other. And so I just find that whole concept interesting. The concept of the simulation theory, how science has come to a point where there's a creator. But really on this show, all I'm asking is that if you're going to be along for the ride, at least have a belief that there's something larger than yourself out there, and it's not just you. It's not like the whole world is created just for you to walk through it. There's other entities, there's other beings that are alive, that are real, that you interact with, that you help out. If you consider yourself a neighborly person, a good person, a giving person. Not everybody is Mother Teresa. but not everybody is this evil, greedy person only looking out for themselves and nobody else. Most of us fall somewhere in between those two, and hopefully we lean on the side of believing in something bigger than ourselves, grander than ourselves, that we can then be a part of society and involve ourselves in the community and society and family life in that way. And so how do we discover and uncover cultural objective truth? And one of the things that I've mentioned before on the show, and I'll just say it again, we use fiction as a tool. We use Bloom's taxonomy as a tool. We use pedagogical methods, teaching methods. We use Occam's razor. We use Fibonacci sequence, the golden ratio, 1.61803, 1.61803, the God number, if you will. Examples of the Fibonacci sequence would be when you look at a pineapple, sunflower, pine cones, star systems, even the human body, the way your body's structured from your fingertips, the length of your fingertips, the length of your hand connected to the proportion to the length of your forearm, to the length of the top part of your arm to where it connects to the shoulder, and the way your whole body is laid out. And you can find that in every living plant life and animal on planet Earth where we live. And so, going back to what I initially had asked, is Plato's allegory of the cave the first example of simulation theory? That's something you can table and think about. Obviously, Plato was around before computers and, programming and all that. And if you're just listening, this is the Unindoctrinated Show with Jordan Cohen. I'm Jordan Cohen. So happy to be with you guys here today. And so really, the simulation theory is just really asking, where does science and religion merge? Reality is how we interpret the physical world, but not necessarily the physical world itself. Reality is how we interpret the world, but not necessarily the physical world itself. So how do we get outside of ourselves, outside of our construct, outside of our personal life journey, to understand what cultural objective truth is? And in that way, we can understand each other better and communicate better. And communication is the biggest challenge in the world today. People easily misunderstand each other. People, oftentimes, myself included, are terrible listeners. So listening skills is the most important skill. And you've heard people through time say there's a reason you have two ears and one mouth. But how do you have a proper conversation, an intelligent conversation, a real conversation? How do you know how to hold a conversation with your fellow man or woman or anybody else that you may hold a conversation with? And oftentimes, a lot of us, and I'm guilty, and like I said, I don't know anything. I'm not trying to impart any wisdom. I'm just asking questions and hoping we can help define ourselves and get through this future together in a positive way and understand and embrace. Not necessarily we have to like, but we have to know about these future technologies. It's not going to go away. We can move off grid, and trust me, I've thought about it. Building a cabin, me and my woman, off in the middle of Idaho somewhere, or West Virginia, and building our own well, our own solar, and being completely free of all the technology and society in a way that we can live a positive life, breathe the air. So how do we have a conversation? And the main thing is to listen, but then not just listen, but respond to what you've just listened to. And a lot of times we're talking maybe in a group of friends or just one-on-one, or maybe it's after a function we've been at and we're hanging out and we're talking, eating hors d'oeuvres around the punch bowl, whatever the case. And people are talking about something and we have something in our mind and we just want to get that point out. And there's nothing wrong with getting the point out that any one of us is trying to make, because what we're thinking and our thoughts are valid. And they should be heard by others, but not at the expense of disregarding what others are saying to us. And so to have a conversation is really an adult type of, it takes critical thinking. Critical thinking is involved, and critical thinking involves Bloom's taxonomy, the levels of critical thinking: remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. So when we listen to what someone's talking about, we may have something in our mind, but that doesn't mean that should be the first thing out of our mouth, or that we should even cut them off to say it. So if somebody's saying something, they're making a point, or they're talking about an idea, the first thing to have an intelligent adult conversation is to respond directly to what they're talking about, and that way they feel like they've been listened to. It's important to acknowledge your fellow man or woman and hear the things that they're saying and respond directly to the things that they're talking about first. That is the crucial element in having a conversation. Responding to what the other person is saying first. That means you've heard what they're saying, and nobody likes to be just disregarded. So if you're responding to what the next person is saying, building on their thoughts, acknowledging their thoughts, and trust me, I cut people off sometimes. I'm not the best listener. This is something I'm practicing. I'm not saying I'm really any good at it, but I'm trying, and the more I talk about it, maybe that helps me be cognizant and aware and mindful the next time I'm in a conversation with someone, and I can really tune into what they're saying and respond to what they're saying first before going on with the thoughts that are in my mind that I want, points that I'm trying to make. And oftentimes conversations aren't really conversations. They're just word battles. One person throws out one thought. It's like 2 or 3 different conversations going on at the same time, but nobody's actually talking with each other and having a real conversation. They're just standing by other people, spewing out their thoughts, thinking that the next person is going to listen to what they're saying, and what you're saying is going to change that person's mind. If you're not respecting what the other person is saying, nothing that you're going to say or I'm going to say is going to change that person's mind and alter and make them maybe adjust their stance, or make them or allow them to consider new information that maybe they hadn't known about previously. You know, maybe some event happens in a town, and there's a fire at the firehouse, for instance. I don't know, I'm just making that up. And there's this rumor going around that so-and-so did something, but then later it's discovered that no, it was something else that was unrelated that started that fire. But if you're not listening and acknowledging what the other people are saying first, then there's no way that they're ever going to pay attention to any new information that might come out. And you or me or anybody that's cutting off that person just to spew out this information is not an effective approach to having conversation. So having conversation and communication is vitally important. And I feel like that's one of the ways we can get at what cultural objective truth is if we just listen more and then respond to what we're listening first and foremost. So we're indicating to the other person that we've understood and comprehended the words that they and the energy that they took to speak those words. We don't have to agree with those words. We just have to acknowledge. And that way we're respecting our fellow man, and that way we can agree or disagree or any infinite number of standpoints we might want to take on a certain issue. So that's what I want to talk about. And now I just want to jump right in. And I wanted to read from Proverbs 3. Proverbs 3, 1 through 35. And let me just start out. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. My son, do not forget my teaching, but let your heart keep my commandments. For length of days and years of life and peace they will add to you. Let not steadfast love and faithfulness forsake you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart, so you will find favor and good success in the sight of God and man. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths. Be not wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and turn away from evil. It will be healing to your flesh and refreshment to your bones. Honor the Lord with your wealth and with the first fruits of all your produce. Then your barns will be filled with plenty, and your vats will be bursting with wine. My son, do not despise the Lord's discipline, or be wary of his reproof. For the Lord reproves him whom he loves, as a father the son in whom he delights. Blessed is the one who finds wisdom. Blessed is the one who finds wisdom and the one who gets understanding. For the gain from her is better than gain from silver, and her profit better than gold. She is more precious than jewels, and nothing you desire can compare with her. Long life is in her right hand, in her left hand are riches and honor. Her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. She is a tree of life to those who lay hold of her. Those who hold her fast are called blessed. The Lord by wisdom founded the earth. By understanding he established the heavens. By his knowledge the deeps broke open, and the clouds dropped down the dew. My son, do not lose sight of these. Keep sound wisdom and discretion, and they will be life for your soul and adornment for your neck. Then you will walk on your way securely, and your foot will not stumble. If you lie down, you will not be afraid. When you lie down, your sleep will be sweet. Do not be afraid of sudden terror or of the ruin of the wicked when it comes. For the Lord will be your confidence and will keep your foot from being caught. Do not withhold good from those to whom it is due, when it is in your power to do it. Do not say to your neighbor, go and come again. Tomorrow I will give it when you have it with you. Do not plan evil against your neighbor who dwells trustingly beside you. Do not contend with a man for no reason when he has done you no harm. Do not envy a man of violence, and do not choose any of his ways. For the devious person is an abomination to the Lord, but the upright are in his confidence. The Lord's curse is on the house of the wicked, and he blesses the dwelling of the righteous. Toward the scorners he is scornful, but to the humble he gives favor. The wise will inherit honor, but fools get disgrace. In Proverbs 4, we talk about a father's wise instruction. In Proverbs 4 through 27. Hear, O sons of fathers' instruction, and be attentive, that you may gain insight. For I give you good precepts. Do not forsake my teaching. When I was a son with my father tender, the only one in the sight of my mother, he taught me and said to me, let your heart hold fast my words, keep my commandments, and live. Get wisdom, get insight. Do not forget and do not turn away from the words of my mouth. Do not forsake her, and she will keep you. Love her, and she will guard you. The beginning of wisdom is this: get wisdom, and whatever you get insight. Prize her highly, and she will exalt you. She will honor you if you embrace her. She will place on your head a graceful garland. She will bestow on you a beautiful crown. Hear, my son, and accept my words, that the years of your life may be many. I have taught you the way of wisdom. I have led you in the paths of uprightness. When you walk, your step will not be hampered, and if you run, you will not stumble. Keep hold of instruction. Do not let go. Guard her, for she is your life. Do not enter the path of the wicked, and do not walk in the way of the evil. Avoid it. Do not go on it. Turn away from it and pass on. For they cannot sleep unless they have done wrong. They are robbed of sleep unless they have made someone stumble. For they eat the bread of the wickedness and drink the wine of violence. But the path of the righteous is like the light of dawn, which shines brighter and brighter until full day. The way of the wicked is like deep darkness. They do not know over what they stumble. My son, be attentive to my words. Incline your ear to my sayings. Let them not escape from your sight. Keep them within your heart, for they are life to those who find them, and healing to all their flesh. Keep your heart with all vigilance, and from it flow the springs of life. Put away from you crooked speech, and put devious talk far from you. Let your eyes look directly forward, and your gaze be straight before you. Ponder the path of your feet, then all your ways will be sure. Do not swerve to the right or to the left. Turn your foot away from evil. And finally, I'll wrap up with Proverbs number 5. Number 5, 1 through 23. Warning against adultery. My son, be attentive to my wisdom. Incline your ear to my understanding, that you may keep discretion and your lips may guard knowledge. For the lips of a forbidden woman drip honey, and her speech is smoother than oil. But in the end she is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death. Her steps follow the path to Sheol. She does not ponder the path of life. Her ways wander, and she does not know it. And now, O sons, listen to me, and do not depart from the words of my mouth. Keep your way far from her, and do not go near the door of her house, lest you give your honor to others and your ears to the merciless, lest strangers take their fill of your strength, and your labors go to the house of a foreigner. And at the end of your life you groan, when your flesh and body are consumed, and you say, "How I hated discipline, and my heart despised reproof. I did not listen to the voice of my teachers, or incline my ear to my instructors. I am at the brink of utter ruin in the assembled congregation. Drink water from your own cistern, flowing water from your own well. Should your springs be scattered abroad, streams of water in the streets? Let them be for yourself alone, and not for strangers with you. Let your fountain be blessed, and rejoice in the wife of your youth. A lovely deer, a graceful doe, let her breasts fill you at all times with delight. Be intoxicated always in her love. Why should you be intoxicated, my son, with a forbidden woman, and embrace the bosom of an adulteress? For a man's ways are before the eyes of the Lord, and he ponders all his past. The iniquities of the wicked ensnare him, and he is held fast in the cords of his sin. He dies for lack of discipline, and because of his great folly, he is led astray. And so that was Proverbs 3, 4, and 5. And I just want to throw that out there, but I wanted to talk about cultural objective truth and using fiction as a way to help us maybe grasp the cultural objective truth. Not just simply objective truth like they talk about in science, but cultural objective truth. And there's something that was written about this, and it talks about cultural objective truth. And by the way, you're listening to the Unindoctrinated show with Jordan Cohen, and it's so great to be here. And just wanted to, if you're just tuning in, we talk about cultural objective truth, science, faith, religion, the art of belief, the art of conversation, the art of understanding, and talking about where things are going in the future, especially over the next few years. People are concerned about their jobs being lost, etc., etc. And there's a lot of things. People are very passionate nowadays, and we want to try to find some reasoning and rational constructs and tools we can use to help guide us to make it all a little bit easier for everybody involved. And so one of the things is cultural objective truth represents a paradigm shift in the way we approach truth and understanding in today's rapidly changing world. Unlike the traditional notion of the objective truth, which relies solely on empirical evidence and scientific method, cultural objective truth encompasses a broader perspective that acknowledges the dynamic interplay between cultural, social, and technological factors shaping our reality today. It cuts across the sensibilities and concerns of contemporary society, addressing pressing issues such as artificial intelligence, globalization, the impact of technology on our lives. And it also recognizes that the isolationist mindset of the past is no longer viable in an interconnected world where information and resources flow freely across borders. This is just the world we're in today. We don't have to like it, but we have to acknowledge it and be aware of it and understand it if we want to succeed and thrive within it. And that's what this show is about. Cultural objective truth can reveal the fundamental interconnectedness of all aspects of life, from climate change, economic inequality, space exploration, technological advancement. Emphasizes the need for forward-thinking solutions that harness the power of technology to address all these pressing challenges, and people have a lot of concerns. They're worried about if they're going to have a job a year from now, if AI is going to take over, and what's going to happen. Is there traditions going to be dismantled and falling apart? And so people have concerns. So when I talk about cultural objective truth, it's really designed to offer a pathway towards a more informed and enlightened approach to addressing critical issues of our time, acting as a guide towards a future where humanity can thrive in harmony in this rapidly changing world that we're living in. And I wanted to tell a little story about Joel Doo. Some of you know about Joel Doo and his megachurch, the Doo Divinity Den, and the Doo Force, and some of the other characters. He's got Jabari St. John, Kim Tome, Betty Lou, Sheriff Mulroy, Sister Sin, and Sister Mary, that used to be Sister Sin. And there's a whole story there about Joel. And he was raised in Linville, Indiana. And this is a fictional story, but it's been created, and we use fiction as a tool and a mechanism to help get us closer to what cultural objective truth is and how we can wield it in our lives to increase our power, awareness, and allow us to move more freely and mellifluously into the future. So let me just talk a story about Joel Doo, and I'll read this story. It's interesting. So here's a story about how Joel Doo, and he's got this Doo force. They're kind of like this mercenary force. And I get into the whole background of Joel Doo's Black Ops missions with the CIA, etc. Started out very young, at the age of 16 through 22, and he's developing the Doo Divinity Den. And very interesting character. On one sense, very stoic and serious, but also very, in another sense, completely opposite. Very charismatic and warm and engaging with the Doo Bible and his followers. And so let me just read this. In the heart of the bustling Doo Dynasty Organization headquarters in downtown Chicago, a trio of operatives prepared for their most challenging mission yet. Led by Joel Doo, the mastermind behind the Doo Force. The team is his main people. He's got Betty Lou, Jabari St. John, and Kim Tome. Kim Tome is like this Asian guy. And Jabari St. John is... anyways, they're interesting characters. We'll get into the details of their backstories at some point, and we'll learn more about them. And I've got all the information on their backstories and where they came from, and it's interesting. But anyways, he's got these guys. And at this point in the Joel Doo adventure, they've had it for a while, so he's not like this teenager anymore. He's not in his 20s. He's like in his early 40s, I believe, at this point. And so he gathers these guys at his Doo Dynasty Organization headquarters. And at the top of the Doo skyscraper building, they have what's called a crystal crow. And if you've seen some of the videos on YouTube, you'll see what that building looks like. It's pretty amazing. But there's a crystal crow atop this big skyscraper overlooking downtown Chicago with Lake Michigan in the background. So anyways, he's got Betty Lou, Jabari St. John, Kim Tome. And he's got them to do this mission to take down Vladimir Putin. Anyway, so as they convened in the Situation Room atop the Crystal Crow, Joel Doo outlined the parameters of their latest mission to dismantle the Russian government, neutralize its nuclear threat. With tensions escalating on the world stage, the stakes could not be higher, and the team knew they had to act swiftly and decisively. Betty Lou, with her sharp intellect and unparalleled strategic acumen, took charge of planning the team's infiltration strategy. Jabari St. John, renowned for his technical brilliance, devised intricate plans to execute the operation with precision, and Kim Tome, a skilled operative, brought his expertise in covert operations and hand-to-hand combat to the table. So their journey began under the cover of darkness as they navigated the treacherous landscape of international espionage and political intrigue. Infiltrating enemy territory required stealth and cunning, and the team relied on their extensive network of contacts and allies to gather crucial intelligence. They really involved dozens of people they had connected with over the years, over the decades, from northern Africa to the Ivory Coast and other places in Europe. As they moved deeper into the heart of Moscow, they encountered resistance at every turn. Russian agents lurked in the shadows, their presence a constant threat to the team's mission, but Betty Lou, Jabari, and Kim pressed on, their determination unyielding in the face of adversity. Their mission took them to the heart of the Russian government's national mint, where they executed a daring raid to disrupt the flow of funds, fueling the regime's oppressive agenda. With Betty Lou orchestrating the operation from behind the scenes, Jabari and Kim sprang into action, neutralizing enemy combatants with precision and skill. Their greatest challenge awaited them, infiltrating the Kremlin itself and confronting Vladimir Putin, the ruthless dictator at the helm of the regime. Armed with the knowledge that failure was not an option, the Doo-Doo Force pushed forward. And by the way, Doo-Doo is DEW-DEW. So as Joel says in his sermons and when he's leading his following at his church in the Doo-Doo Divinity Den, he often says, "Don't just do it, do it." Anyway, so the Doo-Doo Force pushed forward, their resolve unshakable in the face of overwhelming odds. So finally, in a dramatic showdown, they confronted Putin and his inner circle, their determination unwavering in the face of tyranny. Betty Lou, Jabari, and Kim, working in tandem, they incapacitated the dictator and his cronies, delivering a decisive blow to the heart of the regime. As they made their escape from Moscow, the Doo-Doo Force reflected on their harrowing ordeal. Their mission was a success, but the fight for freedom was far from over. With Putin sent fleeing into exile, they knew that their next challenge awaited, a new threat emerging on the horizon, one that would test their skills and determination like never before. And on the next episode of the Unindoctrinated show with Jordan Cohen, we're going to be talking about how the Doo-Doo Force actually goes and disrupts a secret Chinese base located on the moon, and they use kind of this experimental spacecraft and fly to a privately funded space station, and then board the spacecraft from there and go to the moon. So that'll be an interesting one, and we'll talk about that on the next episode of the Unindoctrinated show. And by the way, we're going to be having different people on the show. This show is just new, and if you're just joining us, welcome. There's going to be a lot of different elements going on in this show, talking about what's important today in people's lives, help their lives become better, help improve critical thinking skills, and really dig in. And I don't know anything. Like I said, I'm not this person that knows anything. I'm just curious and want to learn. And so I'm throwing these concepts out there, and hopefully we can learn together. And for people that have to comment on it or think I'm full of nonsense, that's fine. put that in the comments. But I'm really just trying to be unfiltered and genuine the best I can, and talk about cultural objective truth, critical thinking skills. You know, we talk about Bloom's taxonomy, Occam's razor, Fibonacci's sequence, and these things. And that's how we want to kind of talk about this show and talk about what's going on in people's lives today across America and across the world. If you're living in South America, if you're living somewhere in Nigeria or Nairobi in Kenya, or South Africa down near the Horn, the Cape, or in Egypt, or in the Middle East, or my friends that are in Italy, we're glad to have you guys along with us. And in the UK and Scotland, we have friends there, and we love that, and we're glad to have you guys along with us for this journey. And I'm just trying to learn along with you guys. And just to wrap up the show, I just wanted to say thank you so much for making it this far to the end of this show. My name is Jordan Cohen, and the Unindoctrinated Show with Jordan Cohen is a new show, a new concept. We're just launching this off the ground, and it's going to evolve as we go along. And I just wanted to say thank you so much, and all the positive energy I'm sending out to everyone who's out there today to help affect you in your lives in the most positive way possible. So thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.